Good evening, good evening, good evening. We're here with Harold Chegue with Chegue Electric tonight, and I owe him an apology. I did not do my morning video to remind everybody that he was coming tonight. So, buddy, I apologize. I dropped the ball this morning, and she reminded me at lunch, and you get old, you have brain farts. I guess I'm older than I look. I look really young, I know. That's
34?
Yeah, 34, yeah. That's it, yeah. So.
Okay.
No, apology accepted.
It's all right. But he's been in the business since 2018.
Well, I started electrical in 18 and then officially started mine in, I guess it was technically in 23.
Started your own business, right? But you'd worked for Trent from 2018 to till he retired.
Yeah, technically. Yeah. He's basically retired.
I mean, did he really retire?
Yeah.
Maybe from electrical, but
Yeah, no, he doesn't work anymore.
Doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, no.
wait, I'm
I keep watching the chat. I'm like, he's going to say something in a second.
because we keep bringing his name up a lot.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, what is how's it been going since because you took over? You bought Trent out.
Yep, I bought
23.
In 23. Yep, and it has been stressful.
Stressful.
Say the least. Yeah, he had built up an empire here, so it was a lot to take on. I felt like all at once, but luckily the guys that had been working with me for I think 2 years, they stayed with me, and then I've hired a couple guys here and there just to help me out through jobs and whatnot. Just
That's a really good feeling and a good testament, in my opinion, that when you took over, guys that you were working with stayed with you. I mean, that to me, that says a lot.
Yeah, I was worried about that for a little bit because, well, just the whole situation when he brought it up, it was just all of a sudden, and everything, I immediately started to overthink everything. It was like, there's no way I can do this. There's so much that I don't know, so much involved. But he reassured me several times that he was just gonna help me out as much as he could, and yeah, I mean, he really has, and it's been good. It's great.
Does he still answer the phone when you call?
Most of the time. If not, he will call me back within 1 or 2 business days.
That's good.
He said he will let y'all follow him around for a week. Y'all said he wasn't working.
No, yeah, I'm sure he does some stuff.
So, kind of give us a little backstory. Are you originally from here, or?
No, so I was born in Mexico.
Okay.
And somehow my parents got a connection up here. How you make a connection from Mexico to actually Drasco, Arkansas, population,
Nothing.
100. Yeah. Somehow they made that connection. And we moved there in 2007. So I started first grade out there in Concord and then graduated out there in Concord. Really good school. I mean, just the community out there is just so helpful. I mean, my family went through a real rough patch there in like 2013, and I mean, it was just an unbelievable amount of love and support that we got, and I give them all the credit to the way that I am today, just being able to be somewhat successful, I would say.
Right.
Just comes from them, all the support.
Well, not somewhat successful. I mean, success is, in my mind, I mean, it differs for everybody. I mean, here I am with a 10th grade education, on my own business, we own our own business.
Right.
And, so to me, I'm a millionaire. And
Yeah.
nowhere close to it.
Yeah.
But Bill Gates ain't got nothing on me as far as I'm concerned,
Right.
So sorry if
think
y'all
that's
can
cool.
hear that background noise.
Yeah, somebody with their pipes. I'm going to attempt to ask this or read this comment. So I'm asking for some grace. ASU Heber apprenticeship class demands more tres leche cake.
Oh, yeah. That's
Was I even close?
no, that's exactly right. Tres leches cake. Yeah, that's it.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's a 3 milks cake that it's real popular in Mexico. I think I brought it to class one time, and well, it's really good.
Okay, so
Is
now
that a YouTube question?
I don't know where it come from. So yeah, so now we're next time you have some,
Yeah.
swing by
Yeah,
because
He likes to eat.
I like to eat.
I think we have like 8 birthdays in August, and we have it like every week. So yeah, I can bring some.
Perfect. I'll hold you to that.
Yeah.
And yes, that was a YouTube question.
Are you not seeing it?
Well, I am now that I got YouTube pulled up.
Oh. Oh, so do we skip? Sorry, we're squirreling over here. So do we skip questions sometimes because you can't see them from there?
That's what you're supposed to do. Because
Okay.
you get them both.
Okay, I just trusted. Oops. My bad, folks.
Listen, we're not professionals.
Yeah, we are not professionals. So as far as what you're doing, I mean, you kind of stay mostly new construction, that way.
It's primarily new construction, some remodel work here and there, and then I just squeeze in service calls as I can, or small jobs.
People
you know.
like us.
Yeah. Yeah, the realtors really, they hit me hard because they'll call, it's like, hey, you gotta get here a week. You got a week to get here.
Luckily, some of us can admit that we're really needy.
That's all right. Yeah,
Yeah. And
just bumps up the price.
so, wife, kids.
No, I've been single a couple years now. I had a relationship starting out with the business, and it was a lot. So I've been just kind of running the business.
There you go, ladies. If you can wash clothes and cook food.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
really, patience is the thing.
Patience.
Yeah, it's just patience.
is most of your work in Grosse Ferry or Drasco population zero?
Yeah, most of the work is in Grosse Ferry, a little in Heber, a little in Drasco, but that's primarily here.
Are you seeing any kind of slowdown from the boom of the last couple of years, or is it starting to catch up? Or
Not really. I mean, primarily I try to keep my contractors happy, and well, they're always doing something, so they haven't really slowed down, or at least the ones that I work for, they're good. They always got something going, so they really haven't slowed down.
awesome. You gonna ask any questions? Or you gonna put it all on me? Okay, put it all on me. So as
I mean, I'm trying to watch and keep up here.
so going into winter, are there any electrical tips that you can give new folks or weekenders that
So really the only thing that I can think of right off the top of my head is really just your water heater. If you don't live here, just full time, just keeping an eye on that. I mean, other than that, electrical is one of those things that just,
it's working or it ain't?
yeah, I mean, the problem is gonna be there, and it's not gonna just all of a sudden just happen because of the weather. It's gonna be some other factor, more than likely, unless it's like a tornado falls.
Right.
On,
So you've got a question here that's going to put you on the spot.
okay.
But who's your favorite employee?
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
My favorite employee. Oh, okay. I got this one's easy. Chris.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Brett.
It's gonna be a good. It's gonna be a good talk tomorrow.
Good talk
Yeah.
tomorrow.
What made you want to go into electrical?
Mainly, just completely honest here, I just didn't want to go to college. I graduate or my senior year, I realized I did not want any more books or homework. I was done. That was it. Which I mean, I had good grades and everything, but I just got tired of it, I guess. And I started looking into trades, just
Sure.
seeing what other things were out there. And our high school counselor, Miss Terry K. Cornett, I think she still does, or she used to do some stuff up here at Westside too. I think she was kind of like the counselor for both schools. She got me hooked up with Trent. She had me do a job shadow for him.
Oh.
You know, just one day randomly, and I helped him at a job in Batesville, just putting in some cans. Didn't know what was going on. I mean, I didn't even know there was wires, you know, running through the house. Like I didn't know I didn't know anything at all. I was just watching.
It's magic.
Yeah,
It appears.
yeah. I was like, what's going on here? They were cutting holes in the ceiling and running this wire, and then all of a sudden the lights came on. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I guess that was, and he needed help at that time. He really needed help was the thing, obviously.
There again, it's all Trent's fault.
It is all Trent's fault, yeah.
Yep. So is outside of electrical, what is your passion? What do you like to do in your downtime when you get some?
Well, mainly right now it's just been hanging out with my friends and family. We recently just celebrated my mom's 50th birthday.
Happy late birthday.
Yeah. So that was fun. We took a trip to Nashville.
That's fun.
That was first time for a few of us in the family, and that was an experience. We went to a concert out there, so it was loud.
I still haven't done Nashville.
It's loud. It was really fun though. I had a really good time. Everybody did.
Good.
So do you have a big family?
Yes and no. So here in the States, it's just me, my mom, and 3 sisters.
Okay.
Yeah. 1 older and 2 younger. And so that's it here. But, you know, down in Mexico, yeah, I mean, I think our grandma was one of like 13, you know, so there's lots there. And
Well, in that generation, I mean, they had, because I know my great grandmother, she had 13.
I think it was.
And I'm just like, ooh,
no,
thanks.
I couldn't imagine. But
No.
yeah, so there's a lot of family down there, and we still keep in touch pretty good, but it's
awesome.
Yeah, with technology.
You got that question? Because it's a big question, but
it's a
it's
big question.
long.
I'll let him get his drink of water. The maximum rating or setting for the branch circuit, short circuit, and ground fault protective device is of the FLC on a motor if an inverse time breaker is used. Is this one of those that they said they was going to get you questions?
It's like, there's no way I can answer that right now.
I was fixing to say, do you need my phone so that you can read the
Yeah,
question
I would have to
again?
read it and get the code book and a piece of paper.
Okay, so it's that bottom question right there.
But you don't have to answer it here. You can text it to him later.
Yeah, yeah.
But they are testing you.
It's blank of the. Yeah, no, this is too much right now.
They need to come sit down and put the headphones on and get the mic in.
I don't even think I need the code book to answer that one. My English isn't good enough. We're gonna say that. I don't even understand what you're saying.
How hard and can the local grid handle electric car chargers?
So I know.
And that's not a student asking, by the way.
So I don't know what the local grid capacity is, but I do know that like the Tesla superchargers and all that stuff requires a lot of power. I haven't really done a whole lot of research, just, random stuff that I've seen here and there. But I do know that they require a lot, some crazy number for, I guess it's something to do with how much juice they're pumping into these all at once is the thing.
I get the feeling that question would probably be more appropriate for somebody like somebody that works at a power plant or something of that nature.
Yeah.
But we do not welcome. Never mind. I'm not going to finish that statement.
Well, that's the thing with electrical is, you have so many different fields that just, you can separate them out, with you just have your residential guys and then your commercial guys. And then you have the linemen. That's a whole different ball game.
But that's to me, that's more of a electrical supply question.
Yeah,
more than
or electrical engineer. Yeah, electrical engineer, and it goes on forever because of how much. Well, everything's in electricity. I mean,
right.
it just every bit of electronics that you own is, somehow related.
But from what I hear from people that do work in those kind of places is we get pretty close to losing power a lot without the extra load.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, was it 2 years ago when it was getting down in the teens?
Yes, I do remember
And
that.
yeah, I mean, we were.
Yeah, that was not fun.
No,
Yeah, that was kind of rough.
Yeah.
but we survived. First Electric took care of it.
So apparently you not answering that question was a disappointment. Bobby is disappointed in you, and Bobby Passmore is shaking his head.
I don't doubt it. That's all right. It's not the first time he shook his head at me.
So is it okay that I hook my dishwasher, my refrigerator, and microwave on a single pole 30 amp breaker in there? Is that good?
No, that's not great. No.
So what could be the potentials there?
So mainly the biggest issue there is overload. So you're gonna have too much, depending on what size wire you've got running through there. Especially because none of those appliances are rated for that. So you would just potentially have a fire hazard because your protection is a lot higher for that wire. So it would let the wire heat up more versus with a 20 amp, it could trip, quicker.
Heat sounds like fire.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's most of our stuff is just, we're basically firemen.
Yeah.
And we're and we don't have that hookup or setup in there, but just for the folks that may be curious and thinking about putting that deep freeze and all that stuff, we're going in the winter and you got to have a place to put that deer meat,
Yeah. Yeah.
Call your electrician, make sure you're not going to burn your house down.
Right. Yeah. That's
Okay, and so a better explanation to that question about can our local grid handle electric car chargers? That's not what he meant where we went with it.
Oh, okay.
He was talking about losing power. What brand of generators do you recommend?
Oh.
Well,
So we mainly new construction. We install Generac. I really haven't gotten much experience with any other brands. I've heard, like Cummins makes some that I would assume would be pretty good, but I couldn't tell you for sure.
do you service them?
I do not service them.
That's a whole special deal, I think, isn't it?
Generator George.
Yeah, because that's a
So you have someone that we could recommend to service them.
He's the only guy that I know that just primarily works on generators. Yeah.
So Don, I can get his contact for you.
and even then, I mean, he don't service them. I
Oh,
think
do you know who he's talking about?
yeah, because
Oh.
I had a deal that had one, and we needed it serviced, and it was too old for him. So
Right. Yeah, there's
are
a lot.
limits.
Yeah, yeah. There's really not. Well, I mean, there's just not a whole lot of service providers out here in general. That's the biggest issue. There's for the amount of people we get, especially during the summertime. It's an insane amount for just a few local guys.
But do they seem to be I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, like here, we're all electric. Kind of think it'd be cool to have one for the rare occasion, like a couple of years ago when it was getting down in the teens. But and Generac seems to be the one that kind of has the market mopped up. I mean, that's pretty much the only name that comes to mind when you ask about whole home generators. But do they have pretty good service? Do they
Yeah,
do the job well?
Well, I mean, I've been putting them on in with Trent since way back in 2018, and I can only recall ever having one issue with one, and it was something to do with how like the plumbing lines were ran, and it was just throwing some weird sensor code or something like that. But as far as them breaking down or not working when you need them to, I really haven't heard of them. So, I mean, as long as, they got proper fuel.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I don't know exactly about their fuel economy because, most of them run on propane. And that's probably one of the most asked questions is, what kind of, what does a normal tank
Fuel mileage.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of fuel mileage
Yeah.
that thing getting.
Yeah, and I mean, I couldn't tell you, but I would assume it's decent, for how popular they are.
Well, when you figure most folks have a 100, 200 gallon tank, I mean, if it's half full, and especially here, I mean, if you're losing power, it's only for a few hours, less than, it's not. So I wouldn't think that would be an issue. But I do have another question.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, because we've got several.
Okay, good. Boat docks. Do y'all service the overhead, or do y'all do the solar, or do y'all do the change outs?
So we can only do solar now. You can't do any sort of overhead or power coming from a utility.
Well, I know there for a while the Corps was pushing everybody to go solar because overhead used to be a pretty common thing.
But I thought they grandfathered them in.
I'm sure. Yeah. The people
The
that still
existing-
have them
But no
can
new.
keep them, but no new.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So anything new going in is solar,
Right.
and y'all do that.
Yeah, and then there is, of course, if something happens where you're to the point where you have to change out certain parts of the boat dock where like the utility line basically is messed up. At that point, they also require you to just go solar too. Like it's there. I might be saying that a little bit wrong, but there is discrepancies there where
Gotcha.
certain situations you cannot repair and you have to go.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't ask any core related questions. It was just because when it comes to the Corps, call the Corps,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not your electrician.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the most surprising thing you have found while replacing someone's electric?
Okay, I was actually kind of prepared for this question.
Good job, Caleb.
This was probably a year ago, and we got a call from a lady in Diamond Bluff that just needed some can trims changed out. So we start changing them out, and I think one of the guys get up there, and they start looking at the can, and they take it down, and there's all this weird stuff in there. It was bat poop, to say the least.
Nice.
And there was a bat that had been living in this can for I don't know how long enough. I mean, it was an experience. We got it down eventually with the water hose.
Oh, wow.
It's not a good way to start your morning. That's probably not the breakfast of choice.
No.
Yeah, no. And I'm hoping I'm reading Andrew's question right. Is it up to code to run shielded wire in a cabinet for a 220 volt plug? Or sorry, a 120 volt plug.
So, as far as I understand, yes. You just need any type of exposed wiring has to be protected some way somehow, and shielded, which is usually like MC or AC wiring, is usually allowed in unprotected or as in situations where it's exposed.
Okay. How long, to your knowledge, how long does solar last?
So the solar panels, as far as I know, last about 5 years. Somewhere in it depends on the brand, I'm sure, and I'm sure other factors, but like those, your batteries are supposed to last about 5 years or so. I mean, but if you're maintaining everything pretty good, it should last a little while. It also depends on the size of
Right.
the panels and the batteries and everything like that.
That was going to be one of the questions I had. What kind of lifespan? But that kind of answered that question.
Yeah.
So
What size what size conductor is permitted for an air conditioning unit where the nameplate states minimum circuit
capacity.
30 amp with maximum overcurrent protection of a 50 amp?
So I would run a number 6 wire because it can handle up to 50 amps.
Do you want his name so you know who to call when you leave here?
He'll go back and watch YouTube and yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all fun.
Hi, Bubba Doty. I told her to remind you again.
No, he did not. Said he was watching without a reminder.
Let's see here.
I think I
I'm
got them all caught up at the
trying to figure out
moment.
that miss one.
Um,
But if y'all don't mind, I am going to give a shout out to Andrew at Lake Area Custom Granite. Thank you for being this week's sponsor. We appreciate you, buddy. If y'all need any countertops, give him a call.
yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, you two are not going to pick on me, Bubba.
So is there anything out there that you've seen that just makes you go, And the only reason I asked that is because when we were remodeling our house, which it was built in the late 60s,
Our whole house was
and we remodeled the whole thing. I touched pretty much every board in it, every piece of wire, every piece of pipe. And my father-in-law was pretty smart at electrical work. I was an idiot. But with his help in remodeling that house, I'm a little more educated.
Right.
But we was trying to cut off one room at a time. And I was sitting up in the attic and he was on a ladder in the manhole with his head stuck up in there. And I'm sitting over the top of the hallway light, and it didn't matter which wires I touched, I got bumped. And it took like 3 hours to figure out how to keep power to this room, but cut it off to that room, and it was all right here through one light. So, how often do you get?
That's almost every old house. I mean, it's
Really?
just how wiring was done. The issue there is they are running a bunch of neutrals together. So, you've got your black wire sending power in that is separated through the breakers and all the switches. And then for some reason, they would tie all the white wires together. They wouldn't separate them. So all those white wires, it doesn't matter if they are connected to a breaker or not, they're going to have power going back through them if there's some sort of load on that circuit. So if technically, when you connect all those white wires together, you're technically adding them to that circuit. So you're getting that juice from whatever else was plugged in.
Right on.
Yeah. So that's very common in older homes.
Well, if I seem a little slow, it was probably from that afternoon in the attic.
Yeah. I mean, no, it happens. Yeah.
Because it
They'll
lit
get
me
you.
up like a lot.
Yeah. A lot of people make that mistake of thinking, we've got this circuit off, so that means that this is all turned off, and that's where accidents occur, because you're not knowledgeable enough to know, hey, there's other stuff going on here. But
And do y'all still run into or see a lot of the old wall heaters? And
Some,
the in the wall electric heater.
yeah, some. We did a house last year that they completely remodeled where they got rid of all those. But yeah, those are always scary to look at, just how everything was done. Because I mean, it's just basically, well, a junction in the baseboard, no box. Just scary. And then most of the time, it would just be the wires twisted together and then taped up, no wire, nothing. So that's always fun to look at.
Well, my education with those was the same thing, remodeling the house. When we bought the house, went to the breaker box, and I was like, well, I want all the power on, so I flipped all the switches on. Well, that was in '09. When we finally decided to start remodeling in like 16 or 17, I think it was, 18 maybe. And I got to the first one, and it popped me, and I was like,
They were still.
all of them have been hot the whole time we've been here, and they're just
And
hanging.
the
They're,
wires
they're
were
just hanging
like
out there.
sticking out in there. And I was like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
So we were told to ask you about your 20-foot step ladder.
Yeah, I'm glad they brought that up. I am the proud owner of the tallest ladder in Gris Ferry. The tallest step ladder. Yeah. So
How tall is it?
It's a 20-foot step ladder. It's ridiculous. It takes 3 people to carry around and 3 people to stand up. It's
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's crazy.
But it gets you there, right?
Oh yeah, no, we just used it Wednesday.
There you go.
Yeah, I used it at a gym. Yeah, no, it's. I bought it for this specific house where, houses they do. Everybody loves the vaulted ceiling, and then they have the loft and small door. There's no way to get anything in there. So your options are scaffolding, which takes an hour to set up, take back down, or if you're really good and you have a few people helping out, or depending on the height, or trying to do something sketchy.
Right.
And I'm not a fan of heights. Like when I first started, I mean, I couldn't even get to the 5th step of the 6-footer without just shaking. And then let alone with our situation with the scaffolds, they're not the best. So I decided to invest in the 20-footer. And there's still been houses that we have not been able to reach the peak with that. Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah, that wasn't fun.
Especially here, there's some tall stuff.
Oh yeah.
There's some very tall stuff.
When you're running power to an existing outbuilding, is there a permit required?
It just depends on your city.
Your location.
Yeah.
For him, he's out on Fox Chase. So, no, there's no permit required. And we've already answered this, but do you just work on residential or do you do commercial too?
We do some commercial, but I primarily do residential.
Is there a whole lot of difference?
Not major. I mean, it really depends on the building, really. But you're using different material, of course, and some stuff has to be done a certain way. But the essence of it is the same.
What does he do when he isn't working, and how does he enjoy his off time?
They just tune in.
Yeah, just a little bit ago. So,
But I am curious how you worked with Trent and didn't pick up fishing.
I do go occasionally, but it's too much just sitting there. I like to just.
you can't sit still.
It's hard. I mean, nobody can tell because I'll manage. I'll look like I'm fine, but I don't like to sit still. I like to do stuff.
Andrew said, I love when we removed backsplash and the Romex is still tucked in the drywall.
Okay, so that sounds like there was no box or something for some reason.
Sounds like they changed their mind, or
Yeah.
we were going to put something here and now we're not.
So I'm guessing Romex is the wire.
Mhm.
Okay. See, I'm listening.
I don't know.
I don't know these terms, and
That's why when somebody says they need something, we say, Call these people.
Yeah.
Listen, I used to meet Trent out if he was going to do an inspection or whatever for me. And he was like, Jesse, just plug this in that wall right there. Nope, I am not doing it. And he would laugh at me. And I was like, I know. Electricity scares me.
Well,
No,
I don't
thank
know.
you.
I don't know if you remember this, and I'm pretty sure it was you that had called for a house, and I think it was in Fairfield Bay.
Probably.
And we got out there. Trent had just sent me, and the bulb was going crazy. Like it was just strobing like a disco ball. And I think you were a little concerned. You're like, every time I flip this switch, this bulb just goes crazy. And I think
That was me.
and I think, well, it was just the bulb. I think we just took it down and put a new bulb in.
That was me. And I was freaking out thinking that something's not right. But yeah. Trent was like, all you had to do is replace the bulb, Jesse. And I, no.
Well, speaking of bulb and blinking, we got one in here.
Okay.
He did say he was going to call you out on that. Not call you out, but be like, hey, I need you to check this light in here.
Because our little trick of pulling the tab down is not working on that one for whatever reason.
No.
So it's okay to be scared of electricity, but people can troubleshoot a little bit, You can change out a bulb most of the time.
I can change out a light bulb and like a lamp or something like that, but the rest of it, I figured you'd already figured me out by now.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. No thanks.
Now, those are kind of nice calls because we'll get there and we'll have just like the breaker was tripped, or the GFI's resets real popular too. That's always fun. So.
Well, I'll tell you an interesting story, and I think it was before you started working with Trent, but I called him and to come over to a house, and he met me over there, and I was like, it's really dark in this one room, and then you look in the closet, which typically back in those days they put the breaker panel in a closet, but the power company had done pulled the main off the house. So me and Trent are walking through this house, and he's got his big old beaming flashlight, and he walks in to that particular room. I'm not going in there. It is pitch black. It is dark. And he opens that closet and he goes, Jesse, this is why the power company pulled the main off the house. The whole inside of that closet was charred from the breaker panel.
I might know which one you're talking about. Well, we've done a few, but yeah.
I was freaked out. Yeah, I was like, see, that's right there is why I always help.
Yeah. No, yeah, I remember doing one where the entire panel was just black, and it was just crazy. I don't even know how that happens. Like that was just weird.
Yeah. Well, he told me, he said luckily the power company had done pulled the main, because otherwise it was scratch your head of how the house was still standing.
Yeah. If you had that big of an issue where the whole panel just basically caught on fire,
Yeah, that's a problem.
It's a big issue.
I was freaked out.
That is definitely a red flag.
Yeah.
Which most of the time with those, it's a loose connection. It's some sort of loose connection.
Something.
Or a wire that got nicked or something like that. But most of the time it doesn't escalate that bad unless it's something major.
And the homeowner had no idea that the main had even been pulled off the house. And I'm like, really?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Trent said loose connections.
Yeah.
When something burnt like that, do you replace the burnt wire only, or the whole wire up to the breaker box?
So it's situational, but most of the time, if you can replace all of the burnt wire is best. or, because usually the burnt spot was just a loose connection that started arcing, and that's why it started kind of heating up. So usually as long as you tighten up that connection and replace the burnt wire, you're fine. Most of the time you don't have to replace the entire circuit or anything like that.
Well, in that situation, that's what made me call, because I'd walk in like into the living room and the plugs, the plate and whatever was there again, kind of discharged just a little bit, had the smoke film off of it. And then it was like every room that I went to, it was just right there around the plug. And then when Trent found that in the closet, I was like, holy crap.
Wow. Yeah.
Are you satisfied with your employees' performances? For you.
Yeah.
Which day?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just depends on the job, but yeah, no, they're good. They show up and they do their job. So
I mean, at this point, what can you ask?
exactly.
What more can you ask?
Yeah. No. Most of the time, it's a miscommunication on my end. Most of the time, I'll be honest.
Oh, wow. Andrew said, I bought a rental house in Heber a few years back, and it had a screwdriver shoved in the meter can. It took me 2 weeks to convince the power company it was the previous owners, or the previous renters, not him.
Man. Yeah.
That sucks. How long does it take you to rewire a whole house?
Oof, well, it depends on the house.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're completely gutted the house and, let's say 1,500 square feet, you could do it in a week, just a couple people. Yeah.
If it's one of these little tiny houses and the studs are exposed and they could be real quick.
Yeah. So that question right there, I'm not sure if that's for Harold or if that's for us. See what I mean?
I do see what you mean, but I guess I'm going to assume it's for us, and so the best way I can answer that question is we have several in our phone, and when we need an electrician, we send a message to all of them, and the first one that says we can help, that's probably the one that's coming, because all these guys are busy. I mean, they all do good work, and if they do good work and willing to work, you got to get them when you can get them, because they're busy.
The question was, other than you, which of your competitors do you recommend first? So that could be a question for us or him.
So yeah, if you want to take a shot at it, roll.
If you're overwhelmed and booked out and needed to refer them out to somebody, who would you recommend?
So most of the time, when I get a call and I can't get to them, I'll usually at least ask where they're kind of located, and I'll kind of send whoever's in that area that I know could maybe get to them a little quicker. It just kind of depends. But I mean, there's lots of guys in Heber equipment, and that's primarily where we get our calls, and so I'll send them that way, whoever's around. Yeah. Sometimes I will call the person first and give them ask them if they're available to take on such and such, and we'll go from there. But yeah, it just kind of depends.
So I can see that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get personal a little bit, but so trade school, recommend or no recommend?
Recommend
Recommend.
for sure. Yeah, it's.
Do you have any regrets?
No. I mean, like I said, I didn't want to do any more schooling than I had to. I mean, this was I had it down to two things. I was either going to pick a trade or I was going to go full-time college and try to be like a physical therapist or something like that. But I just college just sounded so bad. Like it's just like it just sounded like a money pit, and it just not the right choice for me. It just wasn't gonna. I just didn't have
We need
good.
more trade workers.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, once I started in this, and I mean, working with Trent 5 years straight, no breaks. So, I mean, it was yeah, it was no slowdown, except for I think maybe 2 weeks during COVID, maybe just one. In the heat of it, when like everybody here had it. And it wasn't because we couldn't do work; it was just a safety thing, mainly. And then, since taking over, it's been the same. I mean, it's just like I said. There's been maybe a few days where I've worried a little bit, like, oh, I'm not sure what we're gonna do today. But I mean, the very next day I'll get 8 phone calls, just So
Yeah. And one of the reasons I wanted to ask that question is I'm hoping there are people out there that's kind of in the same boat as you were, same boat as I was. And school is just not it.
Yeah.
I mean, as bad as I hate to say that, for some kids, school is just not it. We had Macy in a couple of weeks ago, and she was kind of in the same boat, and she started her own business.
School's not necessarily the direction of success. I mean, like you were saying, success kind of is defined by you.
By you.
And, kind of where you want your life to go.
Yeah. And it's so I don't want to give anybody's kids advice, but if you are thinking about things and struggling here, struggling there, and trying to figure out what direction you want to go in your life, trade school may be a good place to look.
Yeah, I mean, it's very satisfying work. I mean, it's really nice looking back and just seeing, look, I've helped these people out, and you get so much appreciation sometimes from people just because you fix their light. Like I think like last week, this guy had called me several times in probably the last month, and they had a whole circuit that had went out. And anyways, long story short, I finally got to them and got their lights going again. And I mean, it's a really nice feeling, just the appreciation you get from it, or just the satisfaction of looking back at your work and saying, oh wow, I've accomplished this. This looks good. This is something I can be proud of. You know, it's a nice feeling.
You can see the baby steps come together.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you do free estimates if someone needs work done?
Sure do. Yes.
Okay. And do you stay booked out? And if so, how far?
So
Let's go currently.
Currently, we're about probably say about a month out. But it fluctuates because I primarily focus on my contractors, and they call randomly, and it's all of a sudden, hey, I've got some condos that we're working on, I need you to look at. It's like, there's 10 of them. Okay.
So you're thinking about building you a service crew that you can just send out and do service jobs?
Yes, that is the big goal, to just have
awesome.
A service crew, and then you can have your other crew just working on, just new construction or the contractors, all that stuff. And see, the service calls is the weird thing, because some people will call and they'll have a job that takes an hour or 5 minutes, and then some people will call and they have a 2-day job. It just depends on.
So it's hard to figure out how to squeeze that in on a busy schedule.
Okay. This is giving you kudos. Harold is a great guy and does great work. We highly recommend him. That's from Miss Vicki Carlton.
Oh, yeah.
And then, being a new business owner yourself, do you have any advice for other new business owners?
Let's see.
So can I ask that we save that question?
Oh, okay.
And the only reason I say that is hopefully someday we have a setup in here to where it's big enough that we can have Harold, Steve Timms, Jason, Macy, several of us just sitting around,
All in
Talk-
agreed. Yeah.
just bouncing the ups and downs, the goods and the bads, and Funds and the uglies.
That's cool. Do you have, where'd it go? Do you have a favorite brand of breaker box?
So, and the only reason it's my favorite is because I get a good discount on it, and that makes people happy. So,
Sure.
Square D is what we use, and it's real popular now. I haven't really used any others. I know Eaton is supposed to be really good too. They've got a lot of stuff going with them. That's really the only two that I can really kind of recommend. Everything else is not real familiar with. So,
And
Do
I'm gonna hit. Sorry, I'm gonna hit. Seen Travis Shepard asked a while ago about solar docks. Yes, Travis. They service solar boat docks.
Okay. Do you prefer GFCI breakers or GFCI plugs? Circumstantial.
Yeah. It really doesn't make a huge difference for us. The biggest difference is probably to the owner because the plugs are cheaper than the breakers. Yeah, maybe $10, a piece cheaper. So,
Oh, wow.
This ought to be a good question to get something started here. Who was a better teacher, Bobby or Don?
oh, let's see here. I honestly don't. I honestly don't remember how long I had Don for a teacher. I had Bobby most of the time, and he did good. I mean, it's
Clearly, look at you now.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. The whole point of the electrical class is to learn how to manage through the code book. I mean, it's a massive book, and it covers so much. It covers residential, commercial, industrial, and solar. I mean, it covers everything, that we could possibly get into. And so the test is the entire book, and your job is to figure out these random questions.
You good?
Yeah, these random questions that they're throwing at you about the entire book. So it's just navigating it and trying to understand what it's saying, because I mean it's a lot.
You could have played the safe card. Just said Trent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
That is where you learn most of.
And that's with any profession.
Yeah, any of them.
Yes.
In the fire.
Yeah. Throw you to the wolves, and you either figure it out or you don't.
Yeah. Well.
I would be the one that didn't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Wow. No. I was struggling for sure, but anytime I would have a question, I mean, he was right on it on telling me exactly what was going on or whatever, and that's the helpful part is you're actually understanding what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's pretty much seeing anything in person or in motion.
Yes.
Because I tell you, like, you can sit here and read me my dog is brown, and if I'm not like seriously paying attention to you when you say it, I don't understand.
Yeah.
It don't work for me.
The same way I've got to be hands-on looking at it, otherwise it's not, I mean, it takes a three-way switch. I mean, it probably took, well, I mean, you don't mess with them right off the bat, nor try to understand them, but I mean, it took till my second year to understand what was going on there. I knew what wires went where, but I didn't understand exactly what was going on with the switch. And then once you understand, it's kind of baby steps. Once you see the wire that's going in there, and then you can follow the switch and see exactly what it's doing.
Right. What favorite brand of wafer light is the question.
So again, there's not too many favorites that I use, like as far as quality based. Most of the time it's strictly based on price, because our stuff is just crazy expensive. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So we usually try to use a cheaper option, and most of the time I get good deals from wholesale. They right now I think they're carrying Nicor. They're pretty reliable. And the thing is with using them, you know, any brand that you get, you can really decide how good it is based on their warranty. You know, most of them will at least have a year or something like that where you can, you know, take it back if something happens. And that's nice.
Yeah. Is it wise to check outlets in older homes?
Yes. I mean, I don't know what your average Joe is going to be checking, but you...
Stick a plug in?
Yeah.
Oh, it's working.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to make sure your outlets are working.
I would say it's never a bad idea to have your electrician check your plugs at home.
Yeah.
Don't be taking your screwdrivers and just sticking them around in there, folks at home.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you just want to do a self-evaluation of your house and just want to check your plugins and your switches, I mean, that's not bad for sure. I mean, you definitely
kind
do.
of one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that probably kind of goes in toward the home inspector side of things. They're going to kind of give you that rundown
Yeah.
and then if you have an issue, then you can call Harold.
Yeah. Yeah, because most of the time, you know, people living in those houses, they're going to notice as soon as one of their plugins goes out or breaker trips, you know, you're going to notice that stuff. It's, excuse me.
Or you're in bed and you start smelling something burning and then the lights go out and
That might have happened.
Yeah.
That might have happened.
right by our head.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Electricity is one of those things where it's not really supposed to go wrong unless, you know, you really have an issue, and you know, once you have that issue, you're gonna notice. It's gonna happen. It's a very dangerous thing.
I mean, it was like a plug-in. I mean, you it's either working or it's not, right? I mean, it's there's not a to be a little more serious about that question that was asked. I mean, it's not. I mean, can you check it and it's only if it's supposed to be 120 volts or whatever,
Right.
You know, and it's not putting that out, then
Yeah.
maybe that's something to look into,
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to notice that one right away as well. If you're under your voltage levels, your bulb or whatever you're going to plug in isn't going to work.
Isn't gonna work.
And then, yeah, you can call somebody. But it's a hard thing to just kind of check on. It's not, you know, it's just something that's supposed to work all the time. Nothing's supposed to go wrong as long as it's done correctly.
So
except for bulbs going out or stuff like that, you know.
2 questions. One's myself and one of them's, how often does the wire, does a wire,
Have a life.
no, not
Expectancy?
not really. So, you know, like in plumbing, it went from PVC to PEX. So is wire kind of like that? Do they upgrade it or update it, or maybe it's a dumb question?
No.
Well, I mean, there used to be some houses that was wired with like hot fence, right, and on isolators. Just like you would keep your cows in the yard.
Yes, knob and tube.
Yeah.
Knob and tube is what it was called.
Shut up, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just basically these single strands of wires, and they were set on these porcelain stands. I mean, I've seen it, I think, once ever.
That's kind of old technology.
Yeah, that's
Like way old
Yeah,
technology.
you're talking about like when they had fuses in the house instead of breakers.
Yeah, when you can use a penny to
Yeah,
replace your
So I
fuse.
mean, it definitely does evolve, and I mean, not necessarily the wire itself, nor the wiring, like the actual how we run the wire hasn't really changed in a bit, because yeah, I mean, most of it that I've seen in older homes, it's done primarily to how we do it now. You know, just sometimes it's just a little sloppy, but it's
Right.
how it's supposed to be. But the thing that's changing is the devices. So your plugs, your switches, your breakers, your panels, all that stuff is, there's a lot more technology to that, you know, like your breakers. I mean, now they have, you know, obviously ground fault breakers and arc fault breakers. It's just, and that's, so from a standard breaker to an arc fault breaker, all they did, basically added a computer to that breaker, so that breaker can sense certain things or certain patterns in the circuit.
itself,
Right, yeah.
basically.
So it's just, yeah, stuff's just getting smarter, I guess.
Yeah.
Which sometimes makes it a little more difficult for us, but
Sure.
So thinking about that, thinking about that, like Ethernet, and other kind of, talking about technology, and just, I guess some receptacles nowadays, you plug it right into the wall.
The USB.
You have USBs, you have Ethernets. What, do y'all run all that stuff? Do y'all?
so we do some, but again, it's one of those things where a lot of like the Ethernet and Cat5 and stuff like that, it's more of a specific field. You know, you kind of have to be messing with it a little bit more. Like Cat5, I know can be ran for, or Cat6 either, or can be run for several instances. I mean, we've seen them where they've run it just for garage doors, to speakers, you know, and for internet purposes. I mean, and it's very multi-use wire, but it's just essentially, you know, connections, just, you know, making connections. It's a lot. It's a lot more with like smart homes and stuff like that. When they want everything connected to Wi-Fi, you know,
Right.
That's
So here's a good question.
okay.
What's the worst you've ever been shocked?
Oh, well, that's an easy one. I still remember it. It's the very first time I ever got shocked, actually. And back to Trent.
Of course.
Let's see here. I don't even know where we were at, but I know I was working on on a receptacle for a garage door. So I was on a ladder, and for some reason, you know, of course, older house, tiny box, had, you know, 4 wires going into it, so it was all cramped. And I'm messing with it. I think I was taking down the outlet. And as I'm messing with it, of course, I have all the wires in my hands. And then all of a sudden, it was dead. And then all of a sudden, I mean, it got me. It really, really good. Like I had a tool in my hand too. And I mean, immediately I threw it down, and I mean, just, you know, lunged back a little bit.
If you said they were all dead.
Well, they were.
Yeah, that's
and
where
somebody
Trent comes in, I
was
think.
messing with the panel. Didn't realize they had flipped on a breaker. Yeah, that was the worst one.
Did you stay standing on the ladder?
I did. Yep. I did stay on the ladder. That was the lucky part.
And I'm assuming that person playing with the breaker was
Yes. Yeah.
Trent.
Yeah. Yes.
Of course it was.
Yeah. No, and of course I couldn't get mad because I mean it was like a month in. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. Just kind of grit your teeth and go.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, were you messing with that pan? It's like, yeah.
And I'm sure he felt really bad. He didn't
Oh,
laugh
yeah,
or
I'm
anything.
sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly as you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, of course, going along with that question, do you have a favorite story that you would always treat it like it's hot? Trent said.
Yeah. Always treat it like it's hot.
Yep.
I wish somebody would have told me that. No, that is a very good rule of thumb, and it's highly repeated, and it is a good rule because you never know. Yeah.
And that's why I don't mess.
Yeah.
And I would assume that's true. Even if it won't turn on your light, don't dig into it thinking
Right.
it's not
Yeah.
anything there.
Right.
because-
Just because something's not working doesn't mean it doesn't have power going to it. That's a good safety. tip.
Yeah, because I have seen Trent and Keelan just reach in there and just start pulling, and I'm like, "Who you are making me a nervous wreck."
Yeah, unless you know what you're doing, don't just start poking things
Yeah.
for no reason.
Your sister said she loves you.
Oh, thanks. Love you too.
Sophie.
Yeah. Yeah. She's sick right now. So,
Aw, I hope you feel better. So back to give us a good juicy story.
ooh. Ooh. Oh, I don't know if I want to say this. It's not really anything electrical related. I mean, the good stories are.
It's okay if it's a story about you, then let's hear it.
That's what this is all about, letting people get to know you.
Yep,
Okay.
you as a person.
Well, yeah, okay. So the most interesting story that's happened, and I mean, it immediately popped into my head just because I'm usually super calm. I usually don't get like, just super agitated. Well, I say that. The guys would say different story, but I don't most of the time, especially to customers, obviously.
Right.
That's how you make your business. Except for this couple, I'm not gonna say where, just I got a call. It was having to do with them selling the house. And I got there, I told them, hey, this is what needs to be done we got the inspection report. This is what needs to be done to fix all these things. This is what it's going to cost. Okay, great. We get there, me and maybe one other guy. It wasn't a whole lot. It was me and one other guy, maybe took a day to do. Got there, got everything done. It was just the lady there. And, she was there the entire time. Told her, all right, we got everything ready to go. We're good to go. Okay. And then I get a call the very next morning, 7. I still haven't even made it up to the shop yet. And this guy starts screaming at me that I don't even remember what he was screaming about. Just something was wrong. And then in the background, I told him something along the lines of, well, your wife was there. She okayed everything. I don't understand what that issue is. And
It's fine.
and I hear him, just kind of pull the phone away, and he starts yelling at her like aggressively. And I was like, whoa. Okay. So anyways, I'm like, all right, whatever it is, we can fix it. I really think it was because we had the wrong color receptacle. I really think that was the only issue. Anyways, so yeah, we get there, and I mean, I am just beyond, upset right there. It's 7 a.m. and I'm getting yelled out because this receptacle is the wrong color. So anyways, we changed it out, and that was it. But I mean, it was just the fact that, I don't know what was going on with their life, or clearly something.
Right.
Because I mean, I had never been yelled at like that before for it was a minor thing.
That took you a whole 5 minutes to change out.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things is that if we ever have one of those round tables that we want to have, that, everybody's people.
Yes.
Everybody
Yes.
has days. Whether it's you as the contractor or your customers or what, everybody has moments. And we never know what's going on in each other's head. And, if you come across those moments, you just have to take them in stride. I mean, they are what they are. Life happens. And
Well, needless to say, I felt like I handled it really good for the situation because I'm just talking about it right now. It gets me worked up. Like it just.
But when you're dealing with the public, I mean, and it's not so much. I mean, we say dealing with the public, but it's just because as people who deal with the public, you deal with so many different people that the odds of you running into those moments are more apt to happen.
What sent me, I think, a little over the edge was when I got there. Complete character change. I mean, absolute 180. Just, hey, how's it going? It's not like you weren't just yelling at me and 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, it's just one of those things. And then to put salt on the wound, they called me back because something else wasn't working right, which wasn't. anything related to what we had done.
Uh-huh.
It was just something that how it was wired that was kind of affected. But anyways, I fixed it, just to.
Well, at least they called you back.
Yeah, I guess. I can't believe I didn't block their number immediately, but yeah, and then just yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Well, man, y'all got anything else y'all want to add? I want to say I appreciate you coming in, because I know I'd asked you to come in on 2 months ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Like we hadn't even done a show yet, and I was already bugging you about coming in. And I want to say thank you, not only to you, but to everybody that's come on. It's we've enjoyed it. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. I hope the feedback that y'all get is good. And Steve, I want to give you a shout out, because it seemed since day one, of course you were the first one, but you've also tried to chime in on every episode. We appreciate you tons for your support.
And Don Hartsfield with Craig's Pest Control.
Don has been jumping in
He asked
on a
lot of
regular
questions.
basis.
Yeah.
Helen Bryant, and there's a bunch, but it's really cool when you see the folks that have been here that are participating in it.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, that tells me that it was something good for them in some way.
Yeah.
And that's what we want it to be. We want it to be good for whoever sits on that side of the table. So I wish you all the best, and we still have your phone number, so we're going to bug you at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Probably more than you want us to.
No.
But we appreciate you being here, and if we can do anything, let us know.
No, thank you guys. It's been fun. I really did enjoy it. I was really nervous coming in, but it's been fun.
Well, I'm gonna call Don out, because, like I was telling you earlier, I mean, if you ever meet Don in person and then you watch his episode, you're gonna be like, it's two different people.
Yeah.
Two totally different people. Sorry, Don, but everybody noticed that microphone and camera in your face. Kind of. It does. I mean,
It's different. It really is. I mean, I guess for me it's not different, because between doing Facebook Lives and us being in here goofing off, but I also
And there's an adjustment.
Yeah,
sure.
Yes.
I mean, there was,
Yeah.
it takes a little bit.
but
butterflies are
really sit
slowly
here
going away, but they're still there. I mean, this is what, episode 7 of
Yes.
small business, and
local business.
yeah, and Don said camera has 20 pounds.
Oh, no.
Suck it in, Harold.
Well, I just said, I did
tell
tell
me at the
somebody
end.
the other day that I was like, well, and it adds like 3 more chins.
Oh, great. I'm glad you guys told me that now.
Appreciate
Been over here slouching the entire time.
Well, I did kind of tell you to, just sit comfortable, be comfortable.
Yeah.
But we do appreciate it. Thanks everybody for being here. Hope y'all have a great night, and we will see y'all next week. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.
Thanks, guys.